If you've heard about the English, American, or French revolutions, you'll often hear the word oppression used a lot. You oppress us by arresting the MPs. You oppress us by making us pay more taxes to fix the economy. You oppress us by making us pay taxes after defeating the French. You oppress us by keeping us as slaves. When Columbus sailed to find India in 1492, he stumbled across an island the natives called Haiti, what he called Hispaniola, and he claimed it for Spain. They started to grow sugarcane, but they needed to transport people to work it. Or, after the Spanish looted the Aztecs and brought a crap ton of gold back onto the European shores, the French were like, we can get in on this. The French sent privateers, basically pirates, that are paid by a country to attack another country. After the pirates got too cocky and settled on the other side of the island, the Spanish fought them off the island several times. The pirates went to Louis XIV saying, hey, we're actually doing a lot of good for your economy, and we're giving you a crap ton of gold. Can you make us an official settlement so the Spanish will stop harassing us? Sure, why not? After the 9 Years' War, the French got that side of the island anyway, and began setting up sugarcane farms and coffee farms. The slave owners would be very reluctant to give up the labour that made their farms so profitable. The French that basically settled the island were mostly men, and being men, they had sex with their native population. By French law, if you married somebody off the island and you had children, the wife and the children were automatically freed. This created a race of free coloured people. After the 7 Years' War, the government, being close to broke, needed to make sure it held on to what colonies they had. When the French settled the island, there were mostly three types of people. The rich whites, that lived in France and paid for a plantation to be set up and collected the profits. The free coloureds, that were children of settlers and native people and were automatically given normal rights. Small whites, that were people that lived on the island trying to strike it rich or were paid by the rich whites to live in the colony and actually run the plantation. And the slaves. The government, being basically really close to broke, they thought that if the free coloureds and the rich whites worked together, they'd definitely call for independence. So to create some internal division in the colony, the government introduced some new rules in 1758. Free coloureds were forced to serve a mandatory 3 years in a militia, they weren't allowed to wear fancy clothes, get called sir or madam, couldn't bequeath property, couldn't work in law, medicine, or even government jobs. And whether you were free or not, if your parents and grandparents were fully black, doesn't matter if they're freed, you couldn't visit France. Not that they cared about visiting France anyway. Until August 1789, when the National Assembly in France passed the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, the first line of which reads, all men are born free and equal in rights. What was that? All men are born free and equal in rights. Woo! Oh, shit. So the free coloureds gathered together to send a delegation to France and to the National Assembly, asking for these stupid rules in 1758 to be abolished. Hi, I notice you're broke. Allow me to introduce us. We are the free coloureds from Saint-Domingue. You know that colony that harvests all the sugar that you make food from and the coffee bean that makes your coffee you're drinking from, Pierre? That requires effort to make and harvest. Can you really afford to pay all 500,000 slaves to do all that grueling work? However, we're equal to whites, we contribute to the local economy, we own the slaves, and to sweeten the deal, we've got a gift for you. For your consideration. And we only want recognition along with the rich whites in the assembly. It's only fair. No taxation without representation and all that. Perhaps, with our help, you can ward off the storm that rumbles over our heads. I'm sorry. We can't give you equal rights right now. As much as we love liberty and all that bullshit, we need money. If we give you equal rights, what will the slaves think? Because truly, the only difference between you and them is a piece of paper. We'll debate on this, just not now. Instead, you can have your own assembly and decide what to do. But we own property and are over 25. No, just read the decree, we'll figure the rest out later. We've got to deal with other stuff. So the three coloured delegates go back to Saint-Domingue and start to set up their own assembly, the General Assembly. However, The rich whites made it so only whites could vote, cutting out the free coloureds entirely. And the French government said, oh no, we mean anyone that owns property and is over 25. That includes the free coloureds. This is bullshit. This sucks. Fuck the government. The royal governor says stop trying to eject the authority of the king and sends the French forces on the island to disband the assembly. The assembly delegates fled on a boat to France. In March 1791, the small whites, along with 2 guard units, mutinied and drove the royal governor out of Saint-Domingue. Meanwhile, a revolt by the free coloureds was brewing. Vincent Ogé got sick of the assembly in Saint-Domingue not granting him the rights the National Assembly had given him, and when he landed in Saint-Domingue, fled to the mountains and gathered supporters. He sent a few letters to the General Assembly saying, hey, all I'm doing is securing the rights the National Assembly in France had given me. It's your fault you're not granting it to me. If you don't, I might be forced to arm the slaves. Arm the slaves? Oh no. Raise the army. We need to crush him before the slaves overthrow us. It's a 10-to-1 ratio after all. After Vincent's men got killed and after failing to flee to the Spanish side of the island, Vincent Ogé was brutally executed on the 6th of February 1791. Seeing the white people and the free coloured people revolting, the slaves were like, we might be able to exploit this.